Hi, and welcome back to a Purposeful Woman podcast. And today we have Candace McKim. And
Hey.
Candace is an intuitive teacher, coach, author, TEDx speaker, and founder of Intuitive Coaching Academy. Candace spent decades combining her social work background with yoga and chakra therapy into intuitive coaching. Candice teaches not only on intuition, but also on woman and worth, wealth, and wellness. Hi, and welcome, Candice.
Hi, I'm super excited to be here.
I am super excited to have you here. As I just mentioned right before, I was like, I really love that woman, worth, wellness, and wealth. Such a great combination as we all need wellness, worth, and wealth. I would love to know your story. How did you come to do what you do right now?
Well, I teach on intuition, and I just found that I was always divinely guided by my intuition. And so when I wrote my book, one of my friends said to me, well, describe your book to me in 4 words. And sat there for a minute and I said, intuition is a choice because we have an intuition. Sometimes we follow our intuition and sometimes we don't. And then when we don't, we go, oh, I knew that was going to happen. And so I just started on that path around following my intuitive guidance. I've always been an entrepreneur and just allowing my intuition to keep guiding me into my purpose and following it through with.
All right. Well, all right, tell us a little bit more about yourself. How did you started on that? What inspired you to do so?
Well, so my background is I have a degree in social work. Then I became a yoga therapist. And so I was running my yoga studio business and I started coaching people. And then I wanted to make a bigger impact. And I got invitation. It came across my email I got invited to raise $20,000 for victims of sex trafficking in India. And I knew instantly I needed to do it. But then of course, what happens to us is fear takes over. We start to go into uncertainty. I started to question myself. I was asking, who am I to raise this kind of money? And how is it going to impact myself and my business and my family and my children and all of that? And so I was actually sitting on a hockey bench. I'm in Canada, and I was sitting on a hockey bench and was talking to one of the other mothers. And I said, I just don't want to be on my deathbed and wished I had at least tried to raise the money for victims of sex trafficking. And so when I heard those words coming out of my mouth, I knew I just had to step into it and try. I didn't know if I was going to succeed or not. I just needed to do it. And so I did. In 9 months, I raised the $20,000. So then as a result, I was going to go to India to see the organizations where the money was going. Because I think so many people, they don't follow their intuitive guidance. They get lost in that uncertainty and they can't make decisions, and they, look for outside of themselves to make those decisions. And then just before I left to go to India, I got another really clear intuitive hit to sell my yoga studio. And so 2 days before I left to go to India, I handed over my keys and I sold the studio. And there again, everybody was wondering, what are you doing? Why are you selling this studio? You love teaching yoga. It was a very successful business. I got to see clients there and teach workshops and do all the stuff I love to do. But I just had to keep following that intuitive guidance. And then what it did is when I came back from India, it opened up time and space to write a book and create a deck of oracle cards and really to start to speak more into bigger audience about intuition.
I love it. It's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. And I mean, human trafficking is just like breaking my heart when I learned
Oh,
about this a challenge problem, right? In the world, it's a problem. It just broke
mhm.
my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never even thought that it's possible in the 21st century that, there's a slave people going on in the world. I thought that was like
Mhm.
way past in our consciousness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest industries out there.
Yeah.
There's arms, drugs, and then sex trafficking or human trafficking.
Human trafficking. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So what would you do differently? Like if you, with coming that you know everything right now, what would you do differently in your business journey or like in your intuition journey?
I would, I feel that by connecting to our intuition, we have to really build up our confidence to follow our intuitive guidance. Because as we get an intuitive hit, we go, yeah, I'm going to do this, and this is what I'm going to do. And then we start to tell other people. And once we start to tell other people, we start to go into that uncertainty. And we absolutely need to have the confidence and the courage to keep following our intuition. And so I think that's one of the things that I feel like I wished I had done earlier, or I encourage my students and my clients to do, as soon as possible, is to build that confidence and to notice that it's when people don't understand what you're doing, it's almost validation or evidence that you should be doing it. Because if they don't understand it, then you're not going with the norm. You're not following what society says you should be doing. You're not doing what other people want you to do. You are following your intuition. And when we follow our intuition, we live on purpose. We start to get into this flow of opportunities and possibilities. And then we get into this flow of abundance and prosperity. But it does take us out of our comfort zone, right? It is scary. Our ego wants to keep us safe and comfortable and not putting ourselves out there. It's our intuition that wants to get us out there and shining and being bright and being courageous. So I think finding that confidence, and I hired a coach, right? So having that confidence, having that support to follow your intuitive guidance is one of the things I think is the most important.
Love it. So what will be the advice for you can give to our listeners if you want to start to listen to your intuition more, or where do we start?
I think the first thing is they go, I don't have an intuition. I believe everybody has an intuition. It's the same as all of our senses: touch, taste, sight, smell, sound. We have intuition, but it can be developed more than others. And so the first thing is that to check in with your body. There's no separation between body, mind, spirit, body, mind, soul. And so that when we get an intuitive hit, it shows up in our body. And there's no mistake. There is always some sort of physical reaction. So it could be goosebumps, right? Or truth bumps, I've heard people say, right? So when you're talking to somebody and you really connect to them, and then they say something and you just get goosebumps all over you. It's like they're speaking truth. I got a gut instinct. When I decided to sell my studio, I had to say it out loud. I'm going to sell my studio. And my shoulders relaxed and it felt good. And then when I said, I'm going to keep my studio, my stomach literally went in, and it was just like this gut instinct. That's like, it was a contraction, right? Where when I said I'm going to sell it, it was like this expansion. And so checking in with that. So gut instinct, pressure on your chest or on your shoulders can be a no, where again, if it's expansive, it's more of a yes. I get a thing in my throat where it's almost like a frog in my throat, and I know I have something I need to say. And then itchiness is another thing I get. I get itchy nose and forehead and ringing in my ears. And so there's all different physical sensations. So I think the first thing is just really connecting to that, I've got this idea. What is the physical response I'm getting? Or sometimes it goes the other way. It's like, oh, I've got this physical response. What is my intuition trying to tell me here?
So listen to your body. I always say body is your GPS. All right. And the last question that I always ask about, I want you to fill in the blank in sentence. What if you really knew me? You will know that I am
intuitive. I am empath.
But if we really, really know you, what we will know?
If you really, really know me, I love to laugh. I love to find humor in everything. I just like to find the humor.
Amazing. All right. So please do share. I know you have an amazing gift for us, and where our audience can find you.
My Instagram, it's Candace McKim _ CandaceMckim, and then an underscore on Instagram.
Cool. Awesome. And we will link everything in the show notes. So if you're listening or watching to this episode, if you're listening, just scroll there and you will find the link. And as well as if you're watching, you'll definitely find the link down there below. So thank you so much for coming, Candace. And I thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. And if you love this episode and you would love to see more of that, click the subscribe button to Purposeful Woman Podcast. And don't forget to text us to stay in tune with the Purposeful community for awesome tricks by texting to number +1 401-399-4105, and we will link descriptions in the episode to all of that we mentioned today. Bye, turn your one day to day one with a purposeful day.